Thank you for joining us for another episode of Forest Hill Schools Today. I'm Dallas Jackson, Superintendent of the Forest Hill Schools. Welcome back to Forest Hill Schools Today. We're back in the studio with Natasha Adams and Brad Chamberlain from our central office. Today's discussion is going to be around the area of curriculum. Natasha, this is your first year as our curriculum director at Forest Hills. Tell me what initiatives that you've been working on.
Well, we've been very busy in Forest Hills. As you know, the educational landscape is changing, and we are working very hard to figure out how to best prepare our students for their college and career readiness. And with that, really makes us kind of look at what are teachers teaching. And so one of our first initiatives to think about is what the new learning standards are. In Ohio, there are new standards in reading and writing, math, science, and social studies. And with those standards come new expectations from our students and our teachers. You know, as I said, we live in a global world that really requires collaboration and communication and critical thinking in ways that is different than the past. And so our teachers are working hard to really understand those standards and the expectations. Also, teachers, just in how they teach is very different today. And so that's another big initiative, is how we look at student data. We look at information on each child so that we can figure out how to best meet their needs. And in doing that, we are really looking at a personalized approach for students, where we're collecting assessment data, determining their needs, and then providing that instruction for them in the classroom. This is very different for teachers. You know, in the past, you're in a classroom and the teacher really is the keeper of the information. Nowadays, with information at our fingertips, that brings in a whole new light to the conversation, and it opens up windows and doors for both our students and our teachers. A third thing that we're really looking at and spending a lot of time on in Forest Hills is the whole idea of how we measure student success. Because there are new accountability measures in the state, and there are just new tools that are available to us that we haven't had before. One of the things that students are doing are taking tests that actually measure their ability to grow from year to year. And so that's become a huge focus for us in our district. And so these results are being looked at by teachers and are used for another initiative that's going on in our districts, and that's how teachers are evaluated. So traditionally, teachers have been evaluated through a performance model. That is still a very important part of what we're doing in Forest Hills. But we're also adding how students perform. How well they do is also incorporated into how teachers are rated and how they're evaluated. So those are really big shifts that we're all wrestling with, and there are changes really daily on how each of those initiatives should really be carried out. So we're trying to stay on top of that.
Wow, great. Well, Natasha came to us from Nagel Middle School as a principal, where she was with us for several years. And Brad, also new to his position this year, came to us from Turpin High School as an assistant principal. So Brad, in your position as the secondary coordinator of curriculum, what changes are you working on, or what kind of a change has it been moving from a school administrator to the central office?
Well, personally, if you get used to working in a position, I was at Turpin High School for 8 years, and I worked very hard on the academics at that school, and felt like I had a pretty good handle on what was happening inside of the school. But when you move into a central role in the district, you become personally and professionally responsible for so much more even. Now I work very closely with Nagel Middle School and Anderson High School and Turpin High School, and so it's been very important for me to get to understand how those other buildings work and get to know all of the teachers and department chairs and the leaders in those different buildings, and it can be a lot of fun actually to be with so many new people. It's also a little different when you're in a central office role, because you sometimes can feel a little bit removed from so many people, and I have had to sometimes make a conscious effort to get up, go see them out in the buildings, go see what's happening, and every time that I've done that, not only have I learned something new about the building, but I get to see students, which I got used to over the years, and invariably I find something that the people in the buildings are passionate about, and they enjoy sharing with me what's going on in their classrooms and in their buildings and in their work with students. So that has been very rewarding. I've also realized there's so much more to learn in education. You get used to a certain position, and then you realize there's just there's so much information that every day is I learn something new and I find new documents, and I want to help people get better in their instruction, and I have to continually challenge myself as a learner and as a sort of lead learner for the secondary programs in the school district. So all of those together, it's been a busy time, but it's been a pretty rewarding start, I think.
You know, Brad, I noticed just in central office that you are working with teachers and administrators almost on a daily basis. What initiatives are you undertaking right now for the district?
Well, probably the biggest work that I will do this year is working with all of our English language arts teachers. And we are developing a course of study, meaning with the new learning standards that Natasha spoke about that are coming into play now. We have to look at the reading, the writing, and the literacy that instruction that are going on in all of our classrooms, and that's from kindergarten through commencement. And so we have worked with all of these English language arts teachers to develop a philosophy of what they believe constitutes great instruction, and then work together to develop a shared language of what we believe is the most important elements of instruction in writing, in vocabulary instruction, in fluency, in comprehension, in speaking and listening. And so to bring such different types of teachers together under the umbrella of learning and professional development together, that's a challenge for us, but it's also very rewarding when you get a chance to watch as teachers talk with each other in an environment where they don't often get to speak with each other. The senior English teacher in the high school doesn't often get to speak with the second grade the second grade teacher in, say, Summit Elementary. They never see each other, so they really enjoy the time to learn what the other is doing and how they can then work together. English language arts then is a big focus. We're also working on developing new mathematics courses at the high school. What most people have grown up being used to in mathematics is a traditional path of algebra 1, geometry, and algebra 2. Well, we are taking a different approach with the new learning standards to integrate the knowledge and skills that happen in those courses over a 3-year period. So we've called those courses Integrated Math 1, 2, and 3, and that will be a 3-year sequence. And the new standards are very challenging, and they ask our students and teachers to do more and to go deeper into the skills of mathematics than they have traditionally. So those are two really big initiatives.
Well, you know, you mentioned the word change, and you know, I'm excited in regards to curriculum that's going on because it is a matter of change and taking a look at our new Ohio learning standards. Natasha, can you share a little bit more about what is going on with our learning standards?
Yeah, one of the things we've been doing is looking at internationally benchmarked information, and that's allowing teachers to go deeper on fewer topics and not have to cover. So it's the difference between going wide, and now we're going to be able to go more deep. And so for English language arts specifically, we're going to be asking our students really to read much more complex text. And you're going to see them reading things that are more informationally based versus only literature or a bulk on literature. And so that's a shift for our students. And they'll have to really persevere in reading and rereading, which is something sometimes our students struggle with. So that's a difference in language arts. For our math instruction, you're going to see students not only learning how to solve the problem, but the why behind solving the problem. And they're going to spend more time connecting math to real-world applications. Sometimes in math, you know, when I was in school, you're doing problems in a math book. That's just not the case anymore. You're trying to bring the real world into the classroom as much as possible. And so a big feature and another initiative that we're trying to use in our district to support this work is by building partnerships with our community, with our business partners, so that we can bring those real-world applications in to support the curriculum.
You know, it sounds like there's a lot of work that's going on. I'm going to ask you both a question, and the question is, okay, I notice that our teachers, they're working hard, they do a great job. What do you think has been the most challenging aspect of the new state standards when it comes into the classroom itself with our teachers?
I think one of the biggest challenges is just the fact that everything's kind of hitting all at one time. I mean, our world is really being turned upside down in a lot of ways, and so it's a lot to take in at one time. Teachers are invested, and where they spend their time is with their students, and that is where the bulk of their time needs to be. But at the same time, there's so much for them to learn. And so we were having professional development days where we pull them out of the classroom. There's some days we don't have school so that we can really dig in and kind of roll up our sleeves and learn together. And that is just the hardest time, because teachers really, truly are invested in their students, and to have to learn and change a lot about what the art and science of teaching is a true challenge on a daily basis.
Brad?
I think that because there's so much change happening right now, that it's easy to believe that something is somehow wrong with our schools. I do not believe that. As in my personal life, I moved my family into Forest Hills because these schools are great. So change sometimes indicates that there's a problem. I look at change as an opportunity to do what we do and do it better. And so we have to support teachers in that work. And I think sometimes they feel as if maybe they're not as valued as they once were in the public mind. And that's something that we as a district we cannot allow that to happen. Our teachers, we have some of the finest teachers in the state of Ohio. I've worked with amazing people at all levels. The passion and the intellect and the insight they bring to the classroom is unparalleled. And so we have to continue to support that in every way, shape, and form that we can. And so that's a big challenge in a time of so many global pressures, let's say, that are coming to bear in the classroom every day. And I think that the public is more and more informed about what happens in education. So you put that all together, and it just does create a lot of challenge for all of us. But it's also an exciting time, and you can make really innovative decisions and changes right now because of the need for improvement across K through 12 and across education really in our country.
You know, along with those new Ohio standards comes new assessments. And I know that we're still out there a little ways, but coming up quicker than probably we would want will be new common assessments across the core. And how are we preparing to get ready for that? I know at the K through 8 we have a new assessment that we're looking at this year. Can you share a little bit about that, Natasha?
Yes, this year is the first year we've taken an assessment. It's called MAP assessments, and it's about measuring academic progress. And it's one of the first assessments we've had in our arsenal that measures growth of students. And so those are online assessments, which is another new feature. Kind of gone are the days of paper pencil tests, where every student has a computer and needs to be able to navigate that digital world by dragging and dropping, by being able to keyboard, and those are new skills and new challenges for us. We're very pleased in Forest Hills that we've been able to kind of get out ahead of that, and we've been working really diligently to build an infrastructure that supports our students to be able to have access to technology. So we are fortunate in those ways. And with that data, we're learning new ways to share the information with parents so that they can also dig in and support their students at home.
Right. So, you know, we started off with lots of changes occurring in curriculum. And I think you shared just a little bit today of some of those changes. As I said, I'm really excited about what's going on in our district. I'm excited to have you two join us in the curriculum realm. You know, I guess if I say one thing as we move forward, and that is simply that, you know, we are, as a Forest Hills, as we both have addressed it, right at the cutting edge in regards to what we do with our students and our teachers with curriculum, joining that curriculum with our technology initiatives, which I think are above many of the districts in the state. So I guess to close a little bit, are there any final words, like what is next? Would you think that we've addressed the curriculum, we've addressed some of the challenges with assessments, what else is out there?
Well, I really feel that with all this change that it's important to stay true to who you are. And so that's one thing that I really feel is Forest Hills strong, is that we are success for all students. And if there's a word maybe I would tack on to that, it's we're success for all students together. Because we are really coming together as a district, working hard to make sure that no matter what classroom you're in, what school building you're in, that we are ensuring success for you. And so we're very proud of that, and we stick true to our mission. And so whenever you're in change, you've got to make sure that you're sticking to your core values. And so I really feel like that's a strong positive for us. In terms of what's next, we're going to be continuing to work with our teachers to build their instructional skills, to take on these new assessments, and we'll be doing little pilots so that we can learn lessons along the way for everything that we're doing, so that we don't dive into something too quickly.
Right. Well, I just want to say thank to both of you for joining me today to talk a little bit about curriculum, and look forward to our next episode of Forest Hill Schools Today.